Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Rachel and I make videos about quilting and my creative life. Anywhere that you can find me is listed down in the description box below. Instagram and TikTok, you can stay up to date with what I'm making on a daily basis. Now this is the second instalment of what I'm making during the course of the Alice Caroline Sew Along Festival. Today is the Saturday and that's when the whole festival launched. Along with the launch date was the launch of Alice's quilt, which is called the Sophie Jane quilt, and it's a really beautiful like mandala quilt, starting with a lovely star design and then just loads of borders. I think there's like 10 or so borders on it, so it's quite fun. And I thought I would do a little sewing weekend vlog, so I'm going to sew this weekend. Obviously not complete the whole thing, but I thought I would bring you along with me and let's have a little weekend making together. Don't ask me what time I was up till last night cutting the fabrics. It's now 3 o'clock on the Saturday, so I was up late last night cutting lots of the fabrics and then I was cutting again this morning. So along with the pattern you get this sheet where you can lay out all of your colour choices. I've pretty much tried to follow the design in the pattern, because in the pattern each one of these is numbered, so you can see what sort of colours Alice has put with each shape. Let me show you, I'll give you a peek there. So all of those there are numbered, so I just looked at what colours was on there and tried to assign a similar colour of Liberty Tana Lawn to go with it. So here is my basket of goodies. Some of them I made mistakes on cutting, so I've had to mix similar colours. So this one, I think this was what it was meant to be, this darker one, but then I had to add this from my stash because I cut wrong and then I just didn't have enough of the same one. That happened a few times late last night, didn't happen so much this morning thankfully. So that is all 50 in there and I've just pinned them together with the numbers on. And then I've cut all of the white, which is the background. And with those I've just bundled them together. So this is like, hope you can see that. So this is just a white with a white paisley design on it. This is by Lewis and Irene, and with this I bought 2¼ meters, so 2.25 meters, and I would recommend buying more, at least 2½, because I had no room for error. I think I'm left with like a 4-inch strip, so if I've cut any of these wrong then I will need to order more. So I'm kind of hoping that that will all be fine. So what we're going to do is get started with this centre design. That is a half square triangle design made into a sawtooth star. It just the way the colour is placed, it looks a little bit more complicated than it is. So yeah, let me show you my setup, because you're rested on my ironing board at the moment, so I'll show you what I've done. So it is an absolutely gorgeous day outside. I've got my sewing machine and I've got my laptop set up there so I can watch the tutorial at the same time. I've put the ironing board here and dropped it to the same height as the table, which I think is a great idea, and I'll have my iron plugged in on here. And then to this side, I'll start putting up bits and pieces. So you probably saw in my previous video that this is a design wall that I've built. So I've got some bits and pieces sitting on there. So these are the colours for my centre star. I think that's my all-time favourite Liberty, is that Betsy Bermuda, I think that's called. That's probably my favourite. So yeah, got to turn these into a bunch of half square triangles and then we'll see how the centre looks. If you're joining in with the Sew Along Festival, let me know in the comments what projects you're excited to make and what you think you are going to make. And like I said in my previous videos, don't forget that it is lifetime access. You don't have to access all the patterns this week, so don't worry about anything like that. There are added bonuses of having live streams, so I think they're doing a sit and sew session every day with Alice. I'll get this video up before the festival actually ends, so you can still have the chance to join and partake in some of those sewing sessions. Everything apart from the sit and sew sessions are available with lifetime access, but because you're able to go on camera in the sit and sew sessions and chat and things, they're not going to record those and they're not going to store them on the website, so it's just for the privacy of the people who are on the live chat. But with all of the makers, there are Q&A live streams. I'm doing one on Tuesday, so hopefully you've already watched that. So yeah, it's just crazy to be a part of this. I feel like I don't belong. Now with the chain piecing, a wonderful follower of mine showed me this trick, just to use the little blade on the side of the sewing machine to break apart the chain pieces. So if you're watching Davina, I know you asked, have I got one of those thread cutters? Haven't bought one yet. No doubt this blade will go blunt pretty quick, so I will buy one at that point. But for now, it works quite well. Maybe I'll see if I can get one at the Festival of Quilts. Yeah, works very well. And of course I'm still doing my leaders and enders with this project. The half square triangles given in these instructions are a one at a time method, so that means this is going to be waist, so you're only using this half. So I'm going to save these, maybe I'll put a pin in them. Obviously it's harder now to sew these and not disrupt them, but I'll use those as leaders and enders, I think. So, and then before you know it, I'll have something else. I'll have a bunch of Liberty half squares for something else. It's so nice if you can try and save waste before it goes into the scrap bin and sew it straight away rather than anything else. I could do this with a rotary cutter and cut it at a proper 1/4 of an inch. I think Liberty just looks so nice, doesn't it, with any type of slightly patterned white. Isn't that so clever how that's come out? I'm really happy with that. The bobbin has run out, so let's keep a tally of how many bobbins I end up replacing. Oh dear, I've sewn 2 pieces together and the bobbin's out. I've got my laptop, Harold's a casualty. I've got my laptop set up, waiting for a live stream to start in a couple of minutes, so that'll be really fun to watch while I'm sewing. So I'm just moving on now to do the diamond in the square block, and this is done with a dark and a light value so that the borders are slightly different. I've already done the pink one. This one was the one where I had quite a few cutting issues, so there's actually 3 fabrics on there, but oh well. So I'm just going to do the ones that are, you have to make 2 of each basically, so I'm just going to do those 2 and make those and then move on to the next colour selection, rather than having to pull out all the colours, because then I think I'm just going to get very confused very quickly. So it might take me a little bit longer, but at least I'm able to do 2 at a time, and like I said, I'll be sewing the leaders and enders as well. So I'll get on with this. I think I'm going to stop in a moment and prepare dinner. So hopefully I'll get some done this evening. My aim is, let me show you the pattern. So the section that I'm working on, I've done this, and now I'm just working on this. I'm really sorry if you can hear lots of noise outside. I've got to have the doors open, it's really warm. So I'm working on this section here, and I would like to get that done this evening. So I think it's achievable. We'll see what we can do. You can just see my progress just there. Right, well, I told myself I was going to stop and do dinner, but now I definitely am. I've done 3 sets of the diamond in a square. I can't quite get them to be 3.5, which is what they need to be. But I think I know what I need to do to get them a little bit more accurate, and I'll be able to ease them in, won't I? So it should be fine. They're only a smidge under, which is always my problem. So I need to make 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So I need to make 20 of those. So I think that'll be where I want to get to tonight. I've already done 6. So yeah, I could get a little bit of a production on the go after dinner. And then I think I'll just leave it there. I think that's really good progress. And then tomorrow it will be, so here is some very small squares, but you construct that at the same time as constructing this. So this will probably take me a long time. I need lots of strip piecing with that. Again, I'll try and get a bit of a production on the go, but I don't want to get out of the rainbow order. It might be quite easy to break the rainbow order. Yeah. So I'm excited to get cracking with that tomorrow, but I'm just going to quit while I'm having a good time, quit while I'm ahead, so to speak, set myself an achievable goal, and then I'll do something else this evening. Good morning everyone. It is now Sunday morning, just after 10:30, and I thought I'll sit down and do some more of the quilt. You can see where I got to yesterday. I really like that. It looks really effective from a distance. Seeing it through the camera, that's really nice. So those outer blocks, they're not yet sewn together. They're not in the correct order either. So let's just have a look at the pattern. So the pattern is that the brighter colours are on the side nearest to the star, and then it goes to pale colours. So I'm going to sew those together, and then there's a very small border in pink. So let me show you what I got for that. So for the small borders in between, which are just solid colours, I've decided to use Liberty quilting cotton, just because it's a little bit more affordable. And the patterns still go wonderfully. So all I did was I looked at the colours on the border here, and I've just tried to replicate them. So we're going for this one. So I've chosen this colour. I quite like that. I think that appears in my temperature quilt, but I think it's like colour 35 degrees. And with the summer that we're having, we're not going to get 35 degrees. So I'm just sitting down with my cup of coffee, and my plan today is I would like to get the first border done, like I just said, sewn, And then there is a tiny square border, and then in total there's 20 Ohio stars, and I'd like to make a start on those today. If I could get 5 done, that would be amazing. I don't know if I will. I might do when I get into like the rhythm of it. I might find it quite quick. Yesterday, from the 1 at a time half square triangles, there was quite a few bits left over as waste, so I decided to keep those and just sew them together. But the tiny 1-inch half square triangles, I threw those away. I just thought I don't need the hassle of sewing those, and you know, you get distracted with other projects, don't you? And I just thought, no, stick to the plan. I've got my leaders and enders that I've been doing. So these are the Japanese fabrics that I've been using. So I'll just continue sewing those as the leaders and enders. But anyway, let's get those sewn together in the correct order, get them joined, and we'll see how that comes out. I have almost cut off a few of my points. But I am generally quite happy with it. Oh look, there's another one where I've cut off the point. But I've never done this block before, so I am happy with how it's turning out so far. It's time to attach the small border, so we'll get on with that. This is my little basket where I keep all of my leaders and enders, and I've sewn loads of 2s together, and I want to iron them and get them sewn together as a 4. So let's get those ironed, and then I'll switch them to leaders and enders. In fact, I could probably put these on the machine or buy the machine. So that's what they look like when they're 4s. So my machine has this like little groove, so I just slot them in there like that. I didn't show you this, did I? So I went to a pottery painting place a couple of weeks ago, and I painted this bowl. And I collected it this Friday, and I'm just going to put it in all these little scraps that I keep, because then I put these into my 1/2-inch hexagon blanket, so I can just keep these on the desk, chuck them in there. There's no risk of me accidentally putting them in the bin, and yeah, it's a really cute little personalised thing. Almost exactly 3 hours of that. So that was a little bit time consuming to do the striped borders, but I've pretty much sewn them all. I didn't press them as I went along to try and save a bit of time, so I'm going to give them a good press now and make sure that I'm opening the seat, not opening them. I'm going to keep them pressed to the dark side, but stretching them out, so to speak, but not stretching them, you know what I mean. So all the rainbow colours are just gorgeous. There's quite a few. Lost sight of how many I've done. I love that. I definitely want some more of that. I might even have that as the backing if I can get that. If anyone knows what that Liberty print is called, please do let me know, because that was just in a scrap pack. When I was cutting the kit and everything, I thought that this like swatch card would be not helpful. I thought I was just doing it for the sake of it, but in the pattern it is so useful, and I would definitely do it again if another quilt pattern labelled the quilts, or maybe I would label them, because when you're, I'll try not to show you too much of the pattern, but everything there is numbered. So you can just refer to this and look at it at a glance. When I've organised my fabrics, I have labelled them like that, but you don't want to be rummaging through the box. I can just look here at a glance and then see where it is. Let me show you that gorgeous fabric in a bit more, a bigger piece. Isn't that beautiful? That would be so nice on the back. Yeah, or the binding. Well, there was all in order, those fabrics, they're not now. Let's get these ironed then, and then I need to cut them down and I can get them attached. It looks so good there, doesn't it? And once I've done this small little bit, this one is my next solid border, so it should come together quite quick. It's going to be just a few seams around now after cutting, so yeah. And then onto the Ohio stars. My plan is to sew until about 6:30, 6 o'clock, and then I'm just going to call it quits no matter where I am. I don't want to overdo it. I'm still going to do some tomorrow. Yeah, I don't want to like do too much and get sick of it. I want to make it manageable and still do other things in the meantime. And confession, it's Sunday, it's my mum's birthday on Wednesday, and I still haven't finished making her present, but don't tell her. This video will probably go out on Wednesday, which is her birthday. But the video next week, I'll show you all about that. I won't include the mad dash, because then she'll watch that and she'll know that I was last minute. I am her daughter, she'll know that I'm last minute. Right, let's get pressing this. Enough of sewing for today. My back's starting to hurt a little bit at the top, so I feel like just getting up, stretching. I feel like I might just get up, go for a walk with the dog. It's a really nice sunny afternoon. Well, what time is it now? It's just before 5, so it's not far off when I wanted to stop sewing. But I was just ironing this and I thought, why don't I do the flying geese as leaders and enders? I wish I'd have thought about that to begin with, because I've been using different leaders and enders for a separate quilt, but I think I could have made the flying geese this whole time. I don't dare to count how many flying geese there are. Well, actually, I bet that when I was cutting the patterns, there was 186 white squares. So I reckon they're for the flying geese. So 2 per flying geese, quite a lot of flying geese. But when you do the Ohio stars, there's quite a lot of stopping and starting, and so that I don't get confused on any type of colour placement, I'll just make one at a time, so I won't be doing a massive amount of chain piecing. I can chain piece the whole block, but I bet I could make a good head start, you know, on those flying geese. I should have thought about that to begin with. But I've got the, there we go, I've got the strips for the outside, which I was really thankful of that. At the time I thought, oh no, I don't want to sew all this. But I'm going to be Very grateful, aren't I? Right, so let me show you the quilt so far. So last night I sat down and I marked the diagonal line on, I think it was over 180 of these squares. I just didn't fancy doing any sewing, but I still felt like I wanted to be a little bit productive, so I'm glad that I did that because it was really saving me some time today. So I've been doing the flying geese as leaders and enders like I thought, and they're coming out really nice and accurate. I've done 2 so far. There they are, just there, and I'm going to put them all up in colour order hopefully so I don't lose the order, because when I was cutting some of the fabric at the beginning, sorry my dog is squeaking a toy, when I was cutting the fabric at the beginning I had to substitute some of these squares because I cut wrong and I didn't have enough, so I've substituted a few with similar colours so I don't want to get confused. But I've sat down and I've done my first Ohio star, first of 20. And this was actually really enjoyable, just to sit there and just push it all through the machine. You wasn't really having to think, because I've done these once before. So once I'd got all the layout and you've drawn your diagonals, it's good. Again, you have a little bit of waste. This is my waste from the flying geese. I am going to save those. But you also have a discarded quarter square triangle. I'm going to save these because when I've been doing the Alice's sampler quilt, there's again the same discarded bits in there, and I think I've got about 20 quarter square triangles that are already just there. I've sewn those ones up. I'm not going to sew these up now. Ordinarily I would just run them through the machine as the leaders and enders, but I want to focus on the flying geese. I'm going to leave them pinned so that nothing stretches and I don't lose the placement. Leave them pinned and I'll just come back to them at a later date. I might have to raid my pins. You have like boxes of cheap pins, don't you, just randomly. So I think I'll have to get some pins out so I can put them all together. I'm sorry if you can hear the washing machine. I thought it was going to be a nice sunny day. It's a bit cloudy now, so I've washed all the bed sheets and the duvet. I don't even know if it's going to dry now, so hopefully I'll get that on the line soon. So let's get cracking with these and we'll see where we go. So for this next one I need to get out colour 4 and 6. 6 is my favourite colour, that one that I've shown you, the lovely colour. So number 4 is one where I've had to just make do with what I've got, so we'll see how that goes. I feel like I've been so productive this morning, it's great. I've managed to do those Ohio stars quite quickly. I've done 4 now, it's 5 per side, so once I've done the 5th one I will actually join it, so I'm joining them as I go because that's a little bit more satisfying, isn't it? I've also managed to do 12, I think actually 13, I might want to have one on the ironing board, 13 flying geese, which isn't too bad. I think there's just slightly over 80, so there's 20 per side, so I've almost done a side of those as well. Wow, that's actually quite shocking. So I'm quite happy with that. So I've just got my dinner in the air fryer. I've got a piece of fish and some salad, and so I'm going to have that, and then I'll see how far I get this afternoon. I'll probably won't film too much because I'm worried about how long the video is already, and it means I can just get my head down and sew loads of the blocks together. It's just really exciting. I just love all of the Liberty colours. I don't feel like it's showing as beautiful as it is in real life on the camera, because there's obviously quite a few intricate prints for the camera to try and pick up, whereas in real life it's just a feast for the eyes. I'm just looking at it on the design board there. It's just beautiful. It's so lovely when you get a project like that you absolutely love. I can't wait to get the quilt finished. I was thinking about where I'll quilt. I think I'll hand quilt, and I think I'll hand quilt inside all of the white pieces, because there's not that much white, but it is quite evenly spread, so it'll be good for the amount that you need to quilt. The only thing that I'll need to do is quilt inside the star for the main star, but that's no problem at all. I don't like to say when I think I'll get it finished though, because you know what I'm like. So yeah, it won't be today, it won't be tomorrow, it might be later in the week. Things might slow down though because I'll have work the rest of the week, but we'll see how far I get, and I will update you in another video, but I'll show you at the end of the day. So fast forward to the end of the day. Now, I got this free in a magazine last month, and this is brilliant for trimming these quarter square triangles, because when you're trimming a quarter square triangle, you don't want to just trim it from either side, so you might be tempted to just trim the two sides, but that will leave your center out of the middle. So with this template you can line it up exactly, and it makes sure that you're trimming bang in the center. This was just a freebie, like I said, in the magazine, but it is so handy. So I'll just hold it on. It's a bit fiddly to hold because it's so small, but it just means that it is trimmed perfectly. Well, it's the end of Monday now, so pretty much the end of this 3-day little make along with me. I've made 8 Ohio stars and lots of the flying geese. I am so glad that I decided to do that as the leaders and enders. So if you make that quilt and you've watched this video, please do it as the leaders and enders from the start, and you will have it done by the time you come to needing it. So I will carry on working on the quilt the rest of the week, and I'll be sure to update you in an upcoming video. But thank you so much for keeping me company while I was making this quilt, and I hope you enjoy the video. Do leave me a comment and let me know if you've also been doing the make along with Alice Caroline and what you've made. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.